Welcome back everyone. Wow, the Olympics are underway and it's really nerve-wracking but exciting to watch. We've already seen some great gymnastics, but we've also seen some unfortunate mistakes and surprises. Today I put together an in-depth analysis of the top 3 women's bar qualifiers at the Paris Olympics. That's Kaylia Nemour from Algeria, Qiu Qiyuan from China, and Suni-lee from America. I did these analyses a while back and my terminology was not as good, but it's still great to see how these great athletes approach their bar work, and also we can look for any modifications they may have made. Let's get started. Kaylia Nemour from Algeria. The dates of performance are labeled in each corner. The left routine is last year and the right routine is this year. What I found most impressive is how consistent her skills and timing were in each routine I watched. She starts with a kip handstand, and for me it's like watching a mirror. In her inward stalter to Kachev, or Nemour as it's called now, named after her, they look pretty identical, but in the clip to the right, she started to lift her head already, so her arch is much more open at this point. I would say her toes are more pointed on the right, so this is an improvement. The catch is slightly closer on the right, but causes no noticeable effect on the following sequence. She does this pack salto with such height, elegance, and control. Now look closely, as on the left she does a soul circle putting her feet on the bar, but on the right she brings her feet past the bar into an inside stalter, and this is much more difficult and upgraded. As she throws the bar behind her and reverse hex to the high bar, she has great extension in both routines. On the right, her toes are slightly lower than on the left, but it has no effect on her routine. Both routines hit pre-vertical handstands at the mid-full turn, and it's right here I had to make the first adjustment to keep the routine synchronized. That's only because she was more vertical on the right and stayed in a handstand slightly longer than she did on the left. Up until now, it's been real time. Very similar and clean throughout her stalter reverse hecht or stalter to Kachev. It's a bit more rotated on the left, but on the right, she's also aware that she's a bit closer, so she makes a micro adjustment in the air to not rotate so aggressively, so she has some distance between the bar and her to generate swing into her next skill. And I believe the leg separation can be considered as preparation for the soul circle she's about to do. Or do you think it's a deduction? Let me know in the comments. And now we're back to a beautiful flowing mirror image. She looks to have a small leg separation on the left, but remember, this is slow motion. She continues on with a smooth, clean swing and kip cast to handstand. Both handstands are within a degree or so of each other. She has very deep compression in her inside stalter to a full pirouette. The right handstand is slightly over, more than the left one, and this is where I made the second correction to keep her skills synchronized. And a beautiful mirror image of her double layout to a stick. Just really satisfying and exciting to watch. She's very consistent with this routine in spite of many skills having to be done very accurately in order to move from one skill to the next. I've seen her get off before, like right here in her warm-ups, but she's very good at making micro and real-time adjustments, and this has helped make her consistent. Qiu Qiyuan from China. Let's take a look at Qi's first sequence in her routine. Kip, switch grip to handstand, then she does a full Higgins or full pirouette to L grip, right into another full Higgins, into L grip. Then she moves right into a layout Jaeger or a front flip in the laid out position re-grab. Wow, really incredible. Let's take a closer look now. When she does her kip, she actually creates a moment of weightlessness so she can lift her hands off the bars and quickly switch her grip. It's a fairly basic skill but really cool. Then she goes right into her front giant into a full pirouette or a full Higgins roll into L grip. This ends perfectly in a vertical handstand, just beautifully done. Look at that great extension as she creates power for another full Higgins turn into L grip. She bends her body just enough to avoid hitting the low bar and creates as much momentum in her swing as she can. Immediately she goes into another front giant and straight into another full turn or Higgins roll into the L grip. This is so much more difficult than she makes it look because she makes it look easy. She ends right in another completely vertical handstand. Now, with the same extension and momentum, she enters into her layout Jaeger or front flip re-catch. This is perfect body position and just done so technically and efficiently clean. Again, using her spidey sense, she avoids hitting the bar with a slight flexing of her feet. With all that momentum when she catches the bar, she still keeps perfect form with her legs perfectly together. Now I know a lot of people might not understand what exactly she's doing when she does a full turn to the L grip in her Higgins roll. So let's take a closer look at that. She does a full pirouette into a very odd and demanding wrist position that's hard to see. She is so flexible in her shoulders and her wrists that it really looks almost just like a normal full turn to a handstand. But this is actually the grip she's catching the bar in. She's so flexible and balanced during this skill. Look at her impeccable form as she does her layout front flip re-catch. Even on the re-grab and arch, her legs are glued together, no form deduction. Okay, let's watch her next long sequence in real time. Kip cast handstand, inward stalter to a pirouette, right into an immediate stalter to Kachev or reverse hecht. Then she kips and casts back to handstand. Now for a closer look. She is perfectly vertical as she prepares for her stalter. She does a very powerful late entry, passes her feet past and behind the bar. Look at that compression. Now watch her momentum carry her straight up to a handstand with a full turn. She has to complete the pirouette early in order to bring her legs back close to the bar to do her next skill, which is a Stalter to Kachev or reverse hecht. She hits the half turn pre-vertical of the handstand, but she's a little bit over in the second part of her pirouette, but she still has no problem getting her legs past the bar and executing her Stalter reverse hecht. Her toes are pointed throughout, full compression to create the power necessary for a great reverse hecht. If you look close, I think she could have thrown the bar a little longer and through her shoulders to get more height and rotation. You may see in some of the other videos I've analyzed that many athletes hit a perfectly arched position when doing their Dekachevs or reverse hechts. In this pike, she still needs a little more rotation, even though in the side by side, one is straddled and the other is piked. Can you see the difference? She closely clears the bar. Even with the jolt on her body in the catch, she remains with perfect form. It's really impressive. Let's take a look at her next sequence of skills in real time now. Kip cast handstand. She does her pack or layout backflip between the bars and catches a low bar, goes into a glide kip cast handstand into a toe-on reverse hecht with a half turn catching the high bar. Now a closer look. Cast handstand to a beautifully vertical position. She planches down a little bit to slow her swing to help control the next move she's going to do, which is a beautiful layout backflip between the bars, catching the low bar. Look at that great position. Catches solidly around 45 degrees and pushes away. She's so consistent to cast so solidly vertical in her handstands. Again, late entry toe-on to create power, toes comfortably on the bar before hitting the bottom of her swing. Now this is a huge throw on her release, almost at vertical. Here we see a rare slight leg separation, but really everybody, this girl's really small. She's got a long way to fly from that low bar back to that high bar, especially when you're upside down. Again, feet glued together in this very demanding position. Full body stretch just to catch the high bar at full arm's length. Kip and cast to another vertical handstand, extended as much as possible without hitting the low bar, passing through another perfect handstand, and a very slow and clean half in half out dismount with just a small step on the landing. Really great work. Such control and execution on even the most difficult skills in a routine. Beautiful to watch. Suni-lee from America. Let's slow it down and take a closer look now. She has a very late entry toe-on, which gives her tons of power to apply to the reverse hecht when she throws the bar behind her. She releases her toes from the bar and throws her toes down very early and with great power. This gives her the time she needs to complete the full range of throwing the bar behind her without flying over the bar too far. Look at that open shoulder angle. It also creates the counter rotation she needs to maintain a straight body as she flies backward over the bar. Look at this great stretch position. Just beautiful. Instinctively, she flexes her toes on the off chance she may be a bit close to the bar. With all the training and repetition, gymnasts seem to develop a spidey sense to feel and know where the bars are in relationship with their bodies as they perform. It's kind of cool. Here she has to catch the bar with almost the perfect amount of distance from the bar to have enough swing and momentum to perform the next trick, which is a layout backflip with a full twist between the bars, catching the low bar. She swings through and initiates the twist just as she releases the bar, continues to twist and spots the lower bar while in the vertical position, and as soon as she grabs the bar, she has to immediately push the bar away strong enough to get her toes on the bar for the next skill. If she over-rotates too much here, there's no way she can get her feet on the low bar, so again, timing is very specific here. You can see here she does get her toes on the bar very late and creates tons of power with this late entry. She releases her toes a bit later here than she did in the layout reverse hecht, and this allows her to fly farther over the low bar and reach the high bar. Look at that extension in the shoulders and the power and the throw back to the high bar. That's pretty cool. She catches the high bar completely and perfectly extended. If she's too far, she falls. If she's too close, she doesn't have enough momentum or swing to perform the next skill. That's the real challenge to making these sequences consistent. Here she takes a small intermediate swing into her ginger. We can see she really does not have that much swing or power to apply to the ginger, which is a backflip with a half-turn regrab, but she has great technique and completes the ginger comfortably. Here she completes her blind change or swing half-turn to a handstand in a very straight handstand as she prepares to go into her Jaeger or front recatch. Boy, that's great extension once again. She uses her spidey sense to miss hitting her feet on the low bar, and she has excellent timing in her tap beat or the rhythm of her swing into the front flip recatch. Again, she catches with enough distance to create enough swing to perform the next skill, which is a layout backflip between the bars and catching the low bar. You can also see she has a certain rhythm or tap beat in her swing to slow her rotation down in her layout backflip in order to catch the low bar in a much more vertical position closer to a handstand. We can see from this angle, when she gets her feet back on the low bar, she has tons of power to apply to her next skill, which is a toe-on reverse hecht with a half turn re-catching the high bar. You can see this tremendous throw of the bar behind her as she completely opens up her shoulder angle before she initiates the half twist. She lifts her head and spots the bar and grabs on. In her full turn over the bar, she stays very close to the vertical position as she sets up for a dismount, which is a half in, half out. I hope you enjoyed this analysis and gained some insight. Feel free to like and subscribe.